What's up, people? We're ranking all of the zombies perks today. As you can see, we have all of the perks within reason in this tier list. We are excusing a couple of the variants of certain perks from like stuff like BO4, and obviously the Black Ops 6 perks aren't on this tier list, but I will give my take on them when we reach the end of this video and surpass the Cold War perks. But like I say, for example, the quick revive from BO4, I'm just going to lump in with the Cold War quick revive because they are functionally the same thing. It's just that Cold War have the upgrades to it that Black Ops 4's version doesn't. Same with stuff like Stamina Up. You get the idea. But we are indeed going to go in order, and we're going to start with the World at War perks. So we have quick revive, Jug, double tap 1 double tap, not 2.0. We'll get to that. And then Speed Cola. So where are we putting all of these? So I believe that for the purposes of this video, I'm going to count this original version of Quick Revive as not the World at War version, but the Black Ops 1, 2, and 3 version. Because if we're counting just the World at War version of Quick Revive, it's like D or like even F. I suppose D is fine for it because it is only reviving your teammates faster. It's not doing the self-revive that it does from BO1, 2, and 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to be kind to this version of Quick Revive and put it up in, I think, S tier, because with the additional feature that it has on solo of self-reviving you 3 times, it immediately gives you and your game of zombies so much more longevity in OG zombies that you otherwise would not have. You just don't have self-revives like you do nowadays with BO4, Cold War, BO6, and the non-Treyarchs as well, which, like I say, we're not actually including the non-Treyarch perks here because it will confuse things way too much, because essentially most of the non-Treyarch perks are just a reskin of perks like Double Tap, Jug, Speed Cola, etc., right? So we're only limiting these to the Treyarch perks, because otherwise we will be here forever. But I'm just going to get this out of the way. Juggernog in any form is an S tier. In fact, no, it's not, but most versions of Juggernog is an S tier, especially from World at War BO1, BO2, BO3. Obviously, it's absent in BO4, and we'll get to the Cold War and BO6 Jug when we get to it, because there are some subtle changes. And as for Double Tap 1, I'm going to stick this one in D. Not quite in F tier, but in D tier. The original Double Tap is serviceable. There are instances in World at War and BO1 where some weapons very much benefit from the increased rate of fire that Double Tap 1 offers. It's just it doesn't double the damage like it does when Double Tap 2 enters the fold from BO2 and BO3. But Double Tap 1 is reasonable. It's quite useful with the Ray Gun Mark 1, with the Browning, with the HG40, whatever it's called, on some of the slower rate of fire weapons. It's very useful for that sort of stuff. So I wouldn't consider putting it in F like some people do, but it is a far cry from what it would end up being as Double Tap 2.0. And as for Speed Cola, what's interesting of Speed Cola is I'm not sure where it stands in BO1 and BO2 and BO3, etc. But I know that the World at War version offers that slight increase in like sprint speed, right? I believe that's a statistic that's in the files for this perk in World at War, but I don't know if that statistic holds any weight or even if that added benefit of the perk even exists in any of the games. But I am going to put it in A tier because it is an OG, it has stood the test of time, it has still been brought back despite BO4's attempts to rip it out. It has stayed. Speed Cola is a must-have. And now that we've got the OG perks out of the way, I do want to quickly mention how I'm ranking these is from how OP they are. So not necessarily my personal favourites, but what I think are objectively the first perks that you buy on the map, in terms of order of usefulness, right? That's how I'm ranking these. So with that in mind, I'm going to put PhD Flopper in the top of A. It's not quite an S tier like some people think, and not like Treyarch used to think, because Treyarch would rip it out of most of BO2 because they thought it was too OP, but I disagree. I think it is very useful though, and I think it is one of the better perks ever made. But I don't think it's as OP as some of the perks we'll get to. But I think the PhD is a great perk. The no explosive damage is OP, frankly, if you're running explosive weapons. The no full damage is also very useful in the games it's in, but not as useful as the games it would be in. Like, if it was in Die Rise, it would be OP. If it was in Transit, it would be OP because of the no explosive damage thing, right? With the explosive zombies. So, its absence is felt, but its usefulness is also felt. So, in top of A it goes. Alright, now we move on to Stamina Up. Now this one is an interesting one. I think the community is quite split on its usefulness. I'm leaning towards putting it behind Speed Cola. I think it is very useful in a world where zombies maps are getting bigger and bigger, and the travel time of on foot, having to walk from one side of the map to the other, is getting longer because maps are just getting bigger and bigger. Hence, maps like Terminus exist now. It's just fucking bonkers that round-based maps are reaching that scale, which is a good thing. I'm not saying it's not, but it does leave for the existence of Stamina Up to be essential for maps coming out now because of how much bigger they're getting. So yeah, I think it belongs in A. Simple as that. As for Deadshot Daiquiri though, yeah, it's just pretty fucking useless, isn't it, really? It's... If you're on console, I can understand it going in D tier with double tap 1, because it auto aims at zombies' heads. But besides that, it's just a pile of crap, I don't see much point for it. I never usually pick it up. Unless it is because, I have a free perk slot, I may as well buy the last perk that I don't have. Deadshot is always the last one I get on a map. It just is never one that I ever reach for. But as for Mule Kick, this one's interesting because we're basing this version of Mule Kick... I suppose there's not a BO4 Mule Kick in here, is there? This is a tricky one, because I have a take about Mule Kick, is that the older Mule Kick is sometimes more detrimental than useful. Yes, it's useful to have 3 guns, correct, but the issue is with these older Mule Kicks from BO4 and earlier, it never indicates which of your 3 guns is the Mule Kick gun that you lose when you down. Because if you have Mule Kick and you have, I don't know, Thunder Gun, Ray Gun, and the Galil, right? If you down, what your Mule Kick gun could very well be the Thunder Gun, and then you're fucking peeved. Whereas the later Mule Kicks, like BO4's Mule Kick and beyond, do let you know which gun is the Mule Kick gun, and it warns you ahead of time. But as this looks like this is the older Mule Kick, I'm going to have to stick it above double tap 1. Because it is very useful both for ammo and... because obviously you're carrying 3 guns, you don't have to hit the box as much, you don't have to worry about ammo anywhere near as much as you would if you only had 2 weapons. And you don't have to be as picky and choosy as to what weapons you run in the game, right? So it does have its usefulness, but the older Mule Kick is... I'm not as fond of it as the newer Mule Kicks. But now we move on to the Black Ops 2 perks. So let's go with Double Tap 2.0. This is going straight in S tier. The more I think about it, and the more its absence is felt in BO6, the more I think it is, frankly, an essential perk. It literally doubles the damage. It is a pseudo kind of Pack-a-Punch. If you think about it, like, without having to... For the price of 2,000 as well. I mean, are you fucking kidding me? The fact that it hasn't come back since BO3 is, frankly, a crime. And whoever knows the whereabouts of this poor missing individual, report it to Treyarch, and so that we can bring this poor bastard home. Because Double Tap has been gone way too long. And the weapons feel too weak, especially in a game like BO6. So, bring it back. Fuck's sake. I think it's an excellent perk. But what I think is not excellent is Tombstone. Now, my opinion is that Tombstone here in BO2 and Tombstone in Cold War are both very, very similar, and not in a good way. The Cold War one is frankly the same perk to me. There's barely anything new that it adds. Oh shit, is it really an F tier? I think it is quite bad. You know what, I'll put this version at the top of F, and I'll put this bottom of D. But is it really that much better? I really don't think it's that good. I'm tempted to put them both in F, just because I think they're that similar. There you go. I'll still put it above the original Tombstone, but I don't think it's very good, in my opinion. I think it's a perk that promotes dying. I can't get my head past that, I'm afraid. Sorry. As for Who's Who, I'm gonna younger me would be punching myself, but I'm gonna put it top of D, because in theory it gives you infinite extra attempts. You die and you have this perk on you, you literally get to escape death. The caveat to that is it spawns you in with nothing but a pistol to revive yourself. And more than likely, you end up dying in this Who's Who state where you still need to revive your past self. That is where the issue of this perk lies. But in theory, if you are cracked out of your gourd at zombies and you can survive the wave that just murdered you with nothing but a pistol and can successfully revive yourself, then you, in theory, have an extra chance at life in addition to already having quick revive, right? So it is just an extra layer of protection from an end game, right? So in theory, it's good. It's just in practice, it's anything but, right? It is just a big asterisk next to it. But I am objectively saying that it is not the worst perk in the world, though I do not like it or never run it, right? That's where I stand with Who's Who. As for Electric Cherry, this one's interesting to me because I feel like Electric Cherry in Mob of the Dead versus every other map it's in is so much better. I think that in Mob of the Dead it's so much more effective, and I don't know if that's just in my head, but it feels like it has so much more of an impact on the zombies in that map, or just in Black Ops 2, versus its appearance in Black Ops 3. I also think that the Electric Burst perk, which is essentially Electric Cherry, Electric Burst in BO4, functions the exact same as the one in BO3. The Electric Cherry in BO3 and Electric Burst in BO4 are the same perk functionally, with the exception of the modifier in BO4. But I do think that Electric Cherry is a brilliant perk. I don't think it quite squeaks into A tier, though I personally really love it. I have a soft spot for it. Objectively speaking, I do feel that there is a slight nerfing of Electric Cherry between BO2 and BO3, which is why it's going in B. As for Vulture Raid, I am tempted to put this fucking thing in S, but is it as good as Double Tap 2 and Jug? The camo feature, for one, the extra points and ammo you can pick up from it, the indicator of where stuff is if you're not familiar with the map is also helpful sometimes, but other times that feature can be a bit of an eyesore if you already know what you're doing. And also, it's only available on Buried, so I have to keep that in mind. And I'm only talking about this version of Vulture Aid, by the way. I'm not talking about the one from BO6, though I will give my take on it at the end of the video when we get to the BO6 perks that aren't here. I think that this, as it's only on one map and the showing all the perk locations and box locations can be an eyesore, I'm putting it in A. But it is extremely fucking useful. I always run this perk on Buried when I'm playing Buried. I just think it's extremely useful for ammo, points, And like I say, for the camouflage thing. The camouflage thing has saved me so many fucking times while playing Buried. Not that Buried is a very difficult map, mind. But you get my point. It is an extremely useful perk. It's one of my personal favourites, but being objective as I can, keeping everything in mind about it, it unfortunately has to go in A. What is going in S, however, is Widow's Wine. I think it is probably the definitive best perk. Is it? Oh, yeah, about here is actually okay. I think that, and you know what I will do? I will put Jug above Quick Revive, only just. I think Widow's Wine is excellent. I think the price of it is where it kind of makes it squeak behind those first two. It gives you an extra chance with the Widow's Wine nades, how it literally stops the zombies in their tracks. The knife is very useful. I find it very useful for trying to maximize like points and conserve ammo. I find it very useful. Yeah, I just think it's a very useful perk. The pricing is a bit steep. That's kind of my thing. But all in all, I think it is a brilliant perk. I think it is one of the best of all time. And now here we go. Now we move on to the BO4 perks, which in my opinion, had a bit of a glow up in its rapport of recent years. Especially for me. I've always been quite a BO4 defender. So this will be interesting. I think there's no real order to these perks, but what I will say is there are some amazing perks in BO4 and some awful ones, and there's very rarely ones that are in between. Bandolier Bandit. Amazing for conserving ammo, especially if you're trying to maximize, if you're doing like an Easter egg and you need a wonder weapon, right? It's very good for that. I'm going to put it in B. I think it is very good. Yeah, I think that's where it stays. Blaze Phase, on the other hand, is fucking awful. I'm gonna put this one in F. I think I'd rather take Deadshot over Blaze Phase. You know what? Undecided. I don't know. The Blaze Phase sucks ass. Bloodwolf Bite. Sure, it kills zombies sometimes. But for me, I never find myself wanting to run this perk. I usually pick anything else. It doesn't promote dying, so I'll put it behind Tombstone. Death Perception. We're talking about the Death Perception from BO4 only, I assume, because I can see another version of it ahead. I want to put it in D because it's not useless, but it's often not very. It's not that useful. In fairness, it's all right. I'll put it behind Double Tap 1. Yeah, it's fine. I'll stick it there. Dying Wish is a notorious one for being one of the best in Black Ops 4. I think it belongs. I think it does belong in S, actually. The cooldown for it is a drawback. But, you know what, fine, I'll let it stay in S. It is definitely the perk that I run most in BO4. As for Ethereal Razor, I'm going to put this one with Death Perception. I think it's equally as useful. You know what, no, I'll stick it above Death Perception, but behind Double Tap 1. Its usefulness is very niche. The occasions where it's important and useful, very limited in its usefulness. PhD Slider, yeah, it's pretty much the same as PhD Flopper, except there's a cooldown. So yeah, I'll stick it behind Stamina Up. I think the PhD Flopper is a few notches above PhD Slider in A tier. Stone Cold Stronghold is okay. I think it's practically as good as Victorious Tortoise, so wherever I put this, I'm going to put Victorious Tortoise. I think Victorious Tortoise is slightly better than Stone Cold Stronghold, though, because of what it does for the shield. But they are pretty equal. I'm tempted to put both of them in C tier, so that's what I'm going to do. Time Slip, I'm putting in A. No, sorry, in B, bottom of B, because it is very useful. Oh, actually, it does speed things up for box and Pack-a-Punch if you've got the modifier, but I think it's like, I do run it quite a few times, but is it objectively as useful as I think it is? No. I'm just impatient when I play zombies and I'm hitting the box and pack, right? So, as for Winter's Wail, it's S tier. And I'm tempted to put it ahead of Dying Wish and Double Tap 1. Do I think it's better than Widow's Wine? I'm not sure. I think the cooldown for it maybe lets it down a tiny bit. But I think that, I do think that it's almost as useful as Widow's Wine. And it does give you a second chance, just like Dying Wish does, and it has the cooldown just like Dying Wish. But it is slightly more... It's saved me more times than Dying Wish has, I will say. Which is why I'm putting it ahead of Dying Wish in S. As for Zomshell, I don't know. I'll put it like top of C. I think it's okay. It's there. But now we move on to the Cold War ones. I'm putting Quick Revive in S because of the regen speed it offers. It gets rid of the self-revive though, which is strange. Though I suppose that modern Call of Duty zombies don't need the self-revive that Quick Revive used to offer, so that's fine. Deadshot had a glow up in Cold War, so I will put this in B. Yeah, I'll put it top of B. Why not? Enjoy that. Speed Cola is just kind of... you know what? Yeah, Speed Cola in Cold War is pretty good if you actually get the modifier or the upgrades for it. So I'll put it top of A. Depth Perception is better in Cold War than in BO4. I'm leaning towards a B tier for this one, but I might just stick it in top of C. That feels good. Now, you know what? I think Zomshell is... Actually, why did I put Zomshell there? I'm putting it here. I'll put it behind Stone Cold Stronghold there. Elemental Pop is an interesting one. It's just kind of there. It has its uses, but it's more of a gimmick. Much like another perk we'll get to. It's useful, but it's selective in when it's useful. It's never useful when you want it to be useful, I guess, is what I'm saying. No, you know what? I'll put it top of D. I think it's fine. Jug. The new Jug. Yeah, go on then. I'll stick it S. I think it is pretty good. Actually, with all the other features in it, you know what? Yeah, fuck it. I don't know. I don't know where it's going. Somewhere here in S. Somewhere up in the upper echelon of S. The newer Mule Kick. I'm going to lump the Cold War Mule Kick, because this Mule Kick I'll also lump in with the BO6 one, because it's practically the same. The BO6, Cold War, and BO4 Mule Kick is what we're ranking here. And I'm going to put this one here. I think it's pretty good. It has its uses. I'll just say that. It's pretty good. Same with Stamina Up. I'm counting this Stamina Up as BO4, Cold War, and BO6. So this also goes here. No, it doesn't. It goes here. So there you go. That has been my ranking. But we did not include the BO6 perks. So... what do we have? We have the Melee Macchiato and then the new Vulture Aid. And I believe that's it. I may be missing one. But those are the two that aren't on this tier list that I'm going to mention here. So, I believe that the Vulture Aid from BO6 is somewhere in B tier. I think that's fine. So just imagine that being there. And then the Melee Macchiato goes in F tier because it's fucking useless and it's a gimmick. Never do I find my... Mind you, I put Ethereal Razor in B. Hold on. Need to rectify that. Cool, that's good. That's the tier list. Thanks for watching me ranking all of the Call of Duty Zombies perks. If you disagree with my list, suck it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.